They're mad as hell and they're not going to take this anymore. Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 controversial British celebrity rants.
You have an issue with people calling their children names that may mean beautiful or something?
Well, you end up with a terribly ugly kid called Bella. It's quite strange.
So cruel. I can't go.
My daughter's called Belle. My daughter's called Belle.
Philip, you have a funny face.
Well, no, I just only...
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Anyone in the limelight is prone to the odd public tantrum now and then, but British celebrities are more outspoken than most and have very particular ways of expressing themselves. For this list, we're looking at the most contentious outbursts out there, which unfortunately for the celeb in question, were recorded, whether they were aware of it or not.
They want to kill off gender. That's what they want to do.
Who's they?
They, these people.
Which people?
Ms. Devon, who calls herself Ms. Devon.
Number 10. Danny Dyer on David Cameron, Good Evening Britain. Danny Dyer, Jeremy Corbyn and Pamela Anderson is the combination you never knew you wanted but always needed. That was the panel of guests who were invited onto a one-off edition of Good Evening Britain, a primetime spin-off of the topical morning news show. And when talk turned to Brexit, Dyer couldn't resist chirping in with his expert opinion.
Who knows about Brexit?
Yeah, quite.
No one's got a f***ing clue what Brexit is, yeah?
Known for cutting to the chase and saying things as they are, Danny was on top form here as he took ex-Prime Minister David Cameron to task, calling him out for starting the whole mess in the first place.
Where is he? He's in Europe, in Nice, with his trotters up, yeah? Where is the geezer? I think he should be held accountable for it. He should be held accountable for it.
It's a valid point.
Number 9. Jeremy Clarkson on public sector strikes, The One Show. Never a stranger to controversy, motormouth Jeremy Clarkson was let off his leash on BBC's The One Show.
It's also like being back in the 70s. Makes me feel at home somehow.
And he promptly showed exactly why he perhaps wasn't the one who should have been asked for his opinion on public sector workers going on strike. To the visible discomfort of the hosts, Jeremy nonchalantly joked about having them all shot.
I would take them outside and execute them in front of their families. I mean, how dare they go on strike when they've got these gilt-edged pensions that are going to be guaranteed while the rest of us have to work for a living?
The joke, which unfolded on live TV, resulted in an apology from the show, as well as Clarkson and the BBC itself. Perhaps as a result of the reported 21,000 letters of complaints the broadcaster received.
And I think that others have been sacked for far less.
Number 8. Kim Woodburn in the Big Brother house, Celebrity Big Brother.
Oh, I've had a wonderful evening.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Oh, it's been delightful.
Delightful.
All the people I'm living with here.
There have been plenty of polemics, episodes and full-on breakdowns within the Big Brother house since the show's conception in the year 2000. Such scenes have proven to be far more tortuous than anything in George Orwell's 1984, the novel from which the series got its name. But the absolute top-drawer grade A prime cut example of the chaos is Kim Woodburn's total meltdown during one of the many celebrity editions of BB.
You two-faced bunch! Kim. Chicken liver. Oh, this is crazy.
Woodburn famously snapped at her fellow housemates, threatening them to the point that security had to intervene.
And you're an adulterer when you had, excuse me, and you're an adulterer the 2 times your wife and she's got 3 kids.
Number 7. Gordon Brown on Gillian Duffy.
Free eye test,
how are
free
you going to
prescription.
get us out of all this debt, Gordon?
Unlike previous entries on this list, Gordon Brown was totally oblivious to the fact that this verbal tirade was being recorded. After a heated exchange with one of his party's own voters, Gordon has the misfortune of mistakenly leaving his mic on once he had got into his car.
That was a disaster.
It was there that he was heard calling the woman bigoted in a gaffe that made headlines nationwide. It all played out like something you would expect to see in a satirical comedy sketch, but sometimes real life is stranger than fiction.
What did she say?
Oh, everything. She's just a sort of bigoted woman. Said she used to be a Labour. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Number 6. Christian Bale's behind-the-scenes anger. Arguably the angriest entry on today's list, Bale exhibited more rage here than when he interrogated the Joker, and more passion than during the entire performance in Terminator Salvation.
I was looking at the light.
Oh, good for you! And how was it?
In fact, it was on the set of said Terminator film where Christian had the biggest diva moment of his career, and as it was with Gordon Brown, it was all recorded without him realising. Bale totally lost it when the cinematographer walked on set whilst he was filming a scene, causing the actor to explode into 4 minutes of vitriol aimed at the hapless production member.
I'm gonna f***ing kick your ass. You don't shut up for a second, all right? I'm gonna go. Do you want me to trash your lights?
Number 5. Kevin Keegan on Manchester United. In football, Alex Ferguson was the master of mind games, and he had Kevin Keegan jumping through hoops here.
We're bigger than that.
But that's part and parcel of the psychological battle, Kevin, isn't it?
That's when you do that with footballers, like he said about Leeds, and when you do things like that about a man like Stuart Pearce, I've kept really quiet.
Keegan's Newcastle had already thrown away a 12-point lead over Ferguson's Manchester United in the Premier League during the 95-96 season, and the pressure had clearly mounted and boiled over during a post-match interview, where Kevin went off on Fergie as part of a now infamous diatribe. It was all downhill from there for the Magpies, as the Manchester club went on to lift the trophy with 4 points to spare.
And I'll tell you, honestly, I will love it if we beat them. Love it.
Number 4. Piers Morgan on gender choice, Good Morning Britain. The always opinionated Piers Morgan has never been shy about bursting into a harangue over some topic or another, but the occasion he had gender choice in his sights may just be the most infamous.
Miss Devon, do you get that? She's called Miss Devon, but can't call anybody else, boy or girl, but she wants to be called Miss Devon. Why aren't you gender neutral, Miss Devon?
To the ire of his co-hosts, Piers laid into the UK's former mental health czar for her opinion on gender labels in what seemed an especially never-ending segment of Good Morning Britain.
You literally can't be a man anymore, can you?
Oh, Piers.
You can't. It's over.
Give it a rest.
It's over.
In fact, with how much Morgan had to say on the subject, the fiery debate may even still be going on now.
Let me know, viewers, do you think that boys should stop being called boys and girls should stop being called girls in case it increases their anxiety levels? Let us know your thoughts. I already know your thoughts.
Piers,
You're all going to agree
Piers,
with me, not these two. Virtue signalling clowns.
Number 3. Katie Hopkins on children's names this morning.
And for me, that summarised everything. A name for me is a shortcut. It's a really efficient way of working out what class that child comes from. Do I want my children to play with them?
If there's anyone who can top Piers Morgan on the strong vocal opinion scale, it's Katie Hopkins. Hopkins came to the attention of the British public when she appeared on an edition of This Morning to explain how she judges children by their names. The whole thing was a blatant act of class warfare and probably done for attention more than anything else.
I read your article or whatever about, you know, what children are called and the fact you wouldn't let your children play with them, and they'll say, I wouldn't say it, but that's what I do.
Well, snobs attract snobs, what can we say?
Host Holly Willoughby could barely contain her outrage. Most amusingly, Hopkins expressed she has a distaste for geographical-based names, despite naming her daughter India. So, go figure.
Oh, so Brooklyn or London.
Your child's called India?
Yes, but, you know, that's because she's...
Number 2. Russell Brand on American politics, real time with Bill Maher. Leave it to Russell Brand to engage in a debate over American politics and convince many that he actually has a valid point.
And when a candidate like Bernie Sanders emerged, he was not given the opportunities that he deserved. I never voted in my country.
What do you mean he was not given the opportunities?
This was a rant from a place of zen, as Russell eloquently made his point on Real Time with Bill Maher, despite repeated interruptions from the host.
That certain political figures are managed towards positions of power and authority. That exists at a party political level. The Democratic Party had preferences. Their preference was Hillary. You got Hillary lost. And we...
Brand took the tired left versus right discourse and deconstructed it, laying bare what he proposed was the truth of the matter in the process. This certainly wasn't the first time Russell has frustrated talking heads on US TV, and it's doubtful it will be the last.
And I voted for the first time, and people care
What
now.
were you like on cocaine?
Number 1. Stephen Fry on God, the meaning of life. It doesn't get much more controversial than a broadside aimed squarely at God, on an Irish religious television programme nonetheless.
How dare you? How dare you create a world in which there is such misery that is not our fault?
Stephen Fry is the divine questioning culprit, and when he's asked what he would do if confronted by his creator, he really doesn't hold back. Fry starts off reasonably chirpy, for a moment anyway, before swiftly turning the mood and reciting the exact grilling he would give to the Holy Father.
Because the God who created this universe, if it was created by God, is quite clearly a maniac. Utter maniac.
Stunned interviewer Gay Byrne is at a near loss for words, but manages to point out it's the longest answer he's ever received. He's got away with words, that man.
The moment you banish him, your life becomes simpler, purer, cleaner, more worth living, in my opinion.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo UK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.